So here we are, another year at the British Shooting Show, and this year, as you can see, it's at the Birmingham NEC, which I must admit, first impressions, it wasn't as amazing as I thought it would be. It was, it got all the stuff there. You can see that's the new Tikka TAC 3 or whatever it is. It's brilliant, but I thought it'd be a lot bigger than this, to be honest. But you know, everything was there. That's always good to know. That's the ATNX site, and it's the site I've been looking at quite a lot, to be honest, and I was quite excited about. I've been saving up for that with my money from my patrons. But handling it, I found the eye relief was really short. It was like you had to get your eye really close to it, which made it not really feel like a proper scope. However, as you can see, we have the new ATNX site, and it's just a million times better. It's got much more eye relief. It's got the same features as before. It looks a lot more scope-like. Probably the most of all, the battery life is a lot better than it was before, because previously, if you had all the features turned on, you would need a separate battery pack for it, realistically. So, yeah, it does seem a lot better. And you've got 4K resolution, which means that you can zoom in after the fact, so you can shoot at your normal shooting magnification. But then on your, when you're editing the video, you can zoom further in and you're not losing all of the quality. So that is amazing. Anyway, I digress. As you can see, there's just loads of the normal stuff. You've got here, I think it's Coral Rose Art. You should check her out on Instagram. And I'd followed her for a while, so I just sort of went and had a look around her stall. And she's really talented, to be honest. The quality of her work is brilliant. And she did a particularly good picture of some wood pigeons being shot, which I think is fantastic, as you can see there. I would buy that, but it was 300 quid, and I didn't have 300 quid to spare. And you can see I'm just zooming in there, and you can see the pattern and the hide. That's a great picture. I really like that. Now this is interesting. This is like, basically, the FN57, which was developed for going through body armour. Well, this was developed to basically go into a normal sort of 9mm pistol and just have a barrel change, and then shoot it, I think it's .224 caliber bullet, but at a much higher velocity. The idea being you could give it to people who could shoot through soft body armour, basically. But I'd never seen that before. It's quite interesting. And you've got here, this is a punt gun. It looks a bit like some sort of U-boat, doesn't it, from the war or something. I've not seen them quite as sophisticated as that before. Normally there's just a boat with a massive gun in it, to be honest. But that looks really cool. And then, a couple of the more traditional punt guns, which are basically just like massive shotguns, basically. I wouldn't mind taking one of those out pigeon shooting and just seeing how I got on with it. But yeah, I think they shoot quite a lot of lead. The guy who runs that actually is very sensitive about people touching his equipment, so be aware of that. And here we're at Bonham's, and you can see the price tag of these guns are actually a lot less than you'd think they'd be. I say a lot less, it's still thousands and thousands, but these are very pretty guns. Some of them are Holland and so on and so forth, and you'd expect them to be going for tens or hundreds of thousands, but some of them aren't that bad. If you take that rifle there, I think that was only about 2 or 3 grand, something like that. It's still a lot of money, but we'll see. Hang on. Yeah, estimate 2,000 to 3,000. That's not bad, to be honest, for a rifle like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I remember years ago I did a video from the shooting show going around Bonham's, and I called it like Millionaire Shotguns, and it did very well as a video. And the ironic thing is, as I said, you really don't need to be a millionaire. You need to be pretty well off, but not a millionaire. You can see that's a volley gun there. I incorrectly thought it was on the left. I incorrectly thought that was a sort of big version of a pepperbox revolver, which was the precursor to the revolver. But it's actually, that volley gun actually fires all of the barrels at once, which is interesting. You can see here we've got some old American lever actions with lots of engraving on them. Nice wood as well. And yeah, quite posh. You don't normally see lever actions like that with that sort of quality of wood, but there we are. And you can see here you've got all the usual kit. If you're after pigeon shooting equipment, then yeah, there's loads of different places you can get all that stuff. So it's great for that. Now this is an interesting one. This is the night sight. Now certainly with the ATNX sight coming out, which isn't that much more money, it's kind of, it seems a bit pointless to me, to be honest. But they're still pumping them out, still trying to sell them. This is the Winchester stand, and yeah, you can see that. Actually, yeah, that's the SXP. That's my gun in all the various different forms. I think they've actually been very popular, to be fair, which sort of surprises me, because they are quite cheap and cheerful. I mean, when they're all on the stand like that and they've been polished, they look very nice, but quite cheapo. Now this is becoming a big thing now, isn't it? These tactical long-range rifles. That's actually a Browning X-Bolt, apparently. I think it's in 308, with a big muzzle brake on it. But it does seem to be a bit of a fashionable thing now, people trying to make their bolt guns look a bit like an AR-15. And the funny thing is, with that, I know, you know, you put the extra bits on it, you like got the Teak Attack one, for instance, which is designed like that, and, you know, they put lots of bits in it which make it particularly accurate or whatever. But the basic layout, where you've just got like a pistol grip, well, what's the big deal about that? You know, if you're shooting a rifle really accurately, you don't wrap your hand around the pistol grip, you know even on a sort of a normal grip on a rifle, you don't do that. But if you've got an actual pistol grip, that's going to affect your accuracy. Because when that gun goes off, some of the recoil is going to go into the palm of your hand, and you're going to pull the gun to the left or the right. So I don't see how putting a pistol grip on a rifle makes it more accurate. I would have thought it would make it less accurate. But that's just me. I'm sure Ash will have something to say about that. But I just think it's a bit of a fad. Anyway, here's another one. But this one is in 20mm. And yeah, as you can see, that's a hell of a big cartridge. And for all your questions, they've got that. Yes, 20mm, yes, it's real. Yes, it weighs that much. It shoots for 3 miles, and no, you can't have it. But there we are. And then you've got various other ones in their various guises. There was, you know, as I said, it does get a little bit samey, to be honest, the shooting show, once you've been, if you go every year. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, because in the same way that going to Merry Hill gets a bit samey. You know, it's the same stuff that you're used to seeing. But, you know, if you're a shooter and you're after pretty much anything, you will find it here, you know. And the one good thing I will say about the NEC, I know I was slating it a little earlier, is that it's, you know, it's easier to find your way around. It's one big building, basically, and they kind of divide it up into blocks. You've got like A1, A2, and so on. And it makes it a bit easier. That said, I did walk around for a very long time looking for Calumet English shooting, messaging each other, and we still didn't manage to bump into each other, which was a bit of a pain. But, you know, whatever, that's the way it is, I suppose, sometimes. And the one thing that was different as well is at these things you normally have all the catering. So you have like these vans selling burgers and stuff, charging you an absolute fortune, as you would expect. But there's none of that here, because it's the NEC. So you've got like a sort of coffee place and like a little cafe on the main arena. But then if you go out of the main arena, you know, make sure you've got your wristband on. They've actually got Witherspoons, and there's even a Subway and a couple of other places there. And on the Sunday, to be fair, not many of them were open, but Witherspoons was. And I went there and I got a full English breakfast with a coffee for about a tenner, which is more than you normally spend. But you know, you expect that somewhere like that. But that's still a lot cheaper than going to one of these vans that you would normally go to, where you get just like a bacon roll and like a cup of tea, and it costs you a tenner. So it wasn't bad. Although that said, again, it wasn't a great breakfast, to be honest. But I don't know if that was just because, I don't know, they're cooking so many of them or whatever. But I've definitely had a better Witherspoons breakfast than that before. Anyway, I digress. But that's something to bear in mind, because, you know, it makes life a bit, you know, easier, because you don't want to spend all your money on food when you're at an event like this. Here's Laura looking around the over-unders. She's got basically quite a crappy 20 bore at the moment that Tom got her as a starter gun. But in the end, she ended up buying a Beretta Silver Pigeon, and it's beautiful. It really is. I mean, that cost her £1,090. Allegedly, it's supposed to retail about £1,800. I think that's the salesman really saying that. I don't think it'd be quite that much, but a lot more than £1,090. and it didn't have a mark on it. It was immaculate. So she's ordered that. She's put a deposit down, and she's going to the shop where they're based to get the gunsmith to raise the comb and also shorten the length of pull a bit. So that should be good to see anyway. Yeah, this is good. This is the shooting simulator. I should have hung around longer actually to have a go at it, because it does look like really good fun. But that said, you know what it's like with VR. I think I might feel a bit sick after a while, all that spinning your head around. But yeah, it looked like good fun. It definitely looked like good fun. Here I got drawn to the Browning stand where they're just selling Browning clothing, and it's all very, very expensive, to be honest. Yeah, it's just like those knives. You know how I like knives and Browning. Now this is interesting. Long-barreled revolvers, and as you can see, they are Chiappa rhinos. I was amazed to see those in the UK, but they're here, and they're about 900 quid, I think, recommended retail price, which is I think he said about 900 quid. You might be able to correct me on that, but I think it's about 900. That's like an AR firing AK rounds. That's an AK. Looks like it's chambered in 5.56 though. I don't know. Oh no, that's a shotgun actually. I don't know, might be. Let me know. But here's Tom with the Chapter again. And as you can see, you know, it's a bit of a Marmite gun. A lot of people, when I post it on Instagram, go, oh god, that's ugly. And it's like, I actually think it's really cool. It looks really steampunky. And it's very interestingly designed. Very well engineered, especially compared to a Taurus, which is all we've had so far. But what's interesting is, because the barrel's on the bottom, which is obviously for accuracy, basically, it doesn't flip. The cocking hammer isn't actually the hammer. All it is a lever that actuates the hammer deep inside the actual gun. So it's quite a different concept. And yeah, I quite like it, to be honest. I think I'd have one, and quite minimalist. This is us just looking at a stand. That was some guy's Section 1 straight pull. This is interesting. This is the new BSA bullpup. I can't remember what they're calling it now, but it's very similar to the Air Arms Galahad. It's so similar, in fact. I'm surprised they're not suing them, but you know, whatever. But it's quite nice. It's nice design. The cocky lever's in the right place, just above your pistol grip. It's cool. Yeah, I quite like that. This is the army stand. I had a go at playing with their guns and told them Glocks were shit and they should go back to the Browning high power, and they really didn't like me saying that. So I left fairly soon after. And yeah, some more really, really expensive shotguns. How much is that? God, 276 grand. So yeah, you can spend a lot of money here if you really want to. Actually, that was Holland and Holland before. We were talking to them actually about them building a pump action with Trump on it and engraving it and stuff. But they said apparently they can't keep up with Rigby at the moment, which is what those are, because I don't know, Rigby are a bit more affordable, I guess. But you know, whatever. They're great, and I hope they do bring out pump action. And if they do, I ought to take credit for that. Yeah, this is like one of those hanger things you can get. I'm sure you guys have seen them before. It's just a way of holding your gun. And I can certainly see how they'd be useful clay shooting. And I don't know, maybe if I was out pheasant shooting, that might be useful. Because, you know, just when you're picking stuff up, it could be useful. These guys were really giving us a hard sell, trying to get us to join their charity. But it sounds like a good thing. They sort of look after forests, basically, and buy them up off developers. So that's good too. So that's it. That was our day. So get yourself along to the shooting show next year. It's a really good day out.